Chapter 3. We decide what to take. The following evening, we discussed what we wanted to take with us. Harris said, "Now, get me a piece of paper, Jay, and write everything down. George, you get a pencil, and I'll make the list." That's Harris. He tells everybody what to do, and they do all the work. I remember that my Uncle Podger was like Harris. Everybody in the house had to help when Uncle Podger did a job. When they bought a picture once, Aunt Podger asked, "Now, where shall we put this?" "Oh, I'll do it. Don't worry about it. I'll do it all myself," he said. And then he took off his coat to begin. He sent one of the girls out to buy some nails, and then he sent one of the boys to tell her how big the nails ought to be. "Now, Bill, you go and get my hammer," he shouted, "and bring me a ruler, Tom. And Jim, I need a ladder. And a kitchen chair, too. Maria, you stay here to hold the light. And Tom, come here. You can give me the picture." Then he lifted the picture up, and he dropped it. He tried to catch the glass, and he cut himself. He looked for something to put round his finger, and he could not find anything. So he danced round the house, and he shouted at everybody. Half an hour later, the finger had been tied up, they had bought new glass, and everything was ready. Uncle Podger tried again. Everybody stood round him. They were all ready to help. 2 people held the chair. A 3rd helped him to get on it. A 4th gave him a nail, and a 5th passed him the hammer. He took the nail, and he dropped it. "There," he said sadly, "now the nail's gone." So everybody got down on the ground to look for it. At last we found the nail. But then he lost the hammer. "Where's the hammer? What did I do with the hammer? There are 7 of you there, and you don't know where the hammer is?" We found the hammer for him. But then he lost the place on the wall where he was going to put the picture. So each one of us had to get up on the chair and look for the place. And each one of us thought that it was a different place. Then Uncle Podger tried again himself. This time he fell off the chair onto the piano. His head and his body hit the piano at the same time. The music was beautiful, but Uncle Podger's words were not. Aunt Maria was not pleased. She said that she did not want the children to listen to those terrible words. She added calmly, "The next time that you are going to put a picture on the wall, please tell me. Then I can arrange to go and spend a week with my mother." Uncle Podger got up and tried again. And at midnight, the picture was on the wall. It was not very straight, and everyone was very tired and unhappy. Uncle Podger looked at the picture proudly and said, "You see, it was only a little job." Harris is like that. So I told him that George would write down the list, and I would do the work. He could get the pencil and the paper. The first list was too long, so we started again. "Now," George said, "we don't want to take a tent. We can put a cover over the boat at night. It will be like a little house, lovely and warm and comfortable. It's much easier than a tent." Then we made a list of all the clothes we needed. George told us that he knew all about this kind of thing, and we believed him. We discovered later that this was not true. Next, we talked about the food. "First, breakfast," George began. "We need eggs, cold meat, tea, bread and butter, of course. And for dinner, we can take cold chicken legs, tomatoes, cold meat, fruit, cakes, chocolate. We can drink water." Then he added, "And we can take a bottle of whiskey too, for when we are sick, you know." We did not wish to talk about being sick, but later we were glad we had taken the whiskey. So we made our list, and it was a long one. Chapter 4. We pack. The next day, which was Friday, we collected all these things together. In the evening, we met to pack. We got a big suitcase for the clothes. There were 2 large baskets with lids for the food and for the pans and things to cook with. We moved the table over to the window. Then we put everything in the middle of the floor. After we had done that, we sat there and we looked at it. I said that I would pack. I think that I am very good at packing. It is one of the things that I do best. So I told the others that I would organize it. They agreed to this idea too quickly. That was rather strange. George lit his pipe and sat back in the armchair. Harris put his feet on the table and lit a cigarette. This was not, of course, what I had expected. When I said that I would organize it, I meant that I would tell them what to do. Then I would sit and watch them do it. However, I said nothing, and I started to pack the clothes. It took much longer than I had expected, but in the end it was finished. I sat on the suitcase and closed it. George and Harris watched me with great interest. "Are you going to put the boots in?" Harris asked. I looked round and saw the boots. Why did Harris wait until I had closed the suitcase? George laughed quietly. I opened the suitcase and I put the boots in. It was not easy. And just as I was going to close the suitcase again, an awful idea came to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? Of course, I had to look for it, and of course I could not find it. I had to take everything out again. I found George's toothbrush. I found Harris's toothbrush, but I could not find mine. In the end, I found it inside a boot. I packed everything again. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in the suitcase. I said I did not care about the soap. I threw down the lid of the suitcase and I closed it again. Then I found my cigarettes were inside it. I finished the suitcase at 10:05, and the food was still not packed. Harris said, "We have to start the holiday in 12 hours. Perhaps George and I had better do the rest of the packing." I agreed, and I sat down. They began quite happily. I said nothing. I only waited. I looked at all the plates and cups and bottles and tomatoes and cakes, etc. I felt that it was soon going to get exciting. It did. They started by breaking a cup. That was just to show you what they could do and to get you interested. Then Harris packed a pan on top of a tomato, and, well, they had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. And then it was George's turn, and he stepped on the butter. I did not say anything, but I got up and went over to the table and watched them. This annoyed them more than anything, and it made them worried and excited. They stepped on things, and they put things behind them, and then they could not find them when they wanted them. They packed soft things at the bottom of the basket, and then put heavy things on top of them. Then it got worse. After George got the butter off his shoe, they tried to put it in the teapot. At first, they could not get it in. Then, when they did get it in, they decided that the teapot was the wrong place. But they could not get the butter out again. However, in the end, they did manage to get it out, and they put it down on a chair. Harris sat on it, and when he stood up, the butter stuck to his trousers. Then they looked for the butter all over the room. In the end, George got behind Harris and he saw it. "There it is!" he cried. "Where?" Harris asked, and he turned round quickly. "Stand still!" George shouted. When they got the butter off Harris, they packed it in the teapot again. Montmorency was in all this, of course. He sat down on things just when George and Harris were going to pack them. He put his leg into the sugar. He ran away with the teaspoons. He pretended that the oranges were rats, and he got into the food basket and killed 3 of them. The packing was completed at 1:50 in the morning, and we all went to bed. George said, "What time shall I wake you to?" Harris said, 7. I said 6. In the end, we said, "Wake us at 6:30, George."